House Media Group. Sherry, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest today.
I am. I'm really excited to have our guest, Major Michael Hall. And he is, I was impressed with Mike until I read his bio, and then I'm like, wow, I'm really impressed with him because he's done so much. He's a decorated Marine, Army paratrooper, and former state trooper in the Texas Highway Patrol. He currently serves as a provost marshal for the 36th Infantry Division in the Texas Army National Guard. He's a veteran of both the Iraq and Afghanistan campaigns, and he's just done so much in his life. And as you can see, he is from Texas. He's got that cowboy hat on and everything to show it. But it's what he's done, what he's doing, and what he plans on doing that I wanted to bring on the show and let him talk about it because it needs. I know we've talked about like human trafficking, but it really needs more awareness. And Mike's really kind of a guy who can bring it because of what he's doing. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Sherry. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Neil. How are y'all doing today?
Fantastic. We're ready for the great work you do. Go ahead, share your first question.
Well, you are also the owner of Cross Rifle Safety and Security Solutions. So tell us about that. What's that about? What got you started in it?
I started that business, and it's a security business, armed and commissioned, non-commissioned security. We try to do high-end and DoD contracts and things like that, and we do personal security details. And we also, the safety side of the house is for primarily oil field. I've been in and out of the oil field since I was 15 years old, so um, turn toward the safety, the OSHA, compliance regulations out in the field. But what we're most proud of, of course, is our security services. And I hold everybody's commission because I'm also the vice president of the Remnant Ministries out of Texas under Colonel Doc Pete Chambers. I think you might have met him before, and just a phenomenal guys. My best friend, my mentor, my peer. He and I have known each other since Ramadi in '04 when he saved my rear end and his Special Forces group. And then we keep running into each other. Ran into him again years later when I was in charge of two companies over in Guantanamo Bay. I had the 136 MP Battalion and then another 305th company.
Wow.
So we were there together. I mean, it's like full circle. So all the bad guys that we were looking for and finding in Iraq and Afghanistan, I saw them again. I had the cradle to grave for them to get them through the commission sites and everything like that, along with my team. And it was just. And then we met again several years later after the COVID and civil unrest missions on the border, Texas-Mexico border. So we were down there on Operation Lone Star together. I was the Tactical River Unit Commander, and he was down there doing his cool stuff with the Special Forces, his Green Beret, wearing his Green Beret hat. And he said, "Man, well, we can't get away from each other, so why don't you come on board with me, and we're going to start this thing." And that's how the Remnant Ministries was born, under his idea. And he's got me as his right hand man now. So that's what we're doing. That's how we got here.
And it's
Definitely
grown
seeing
a
you
lot
there.
over the years. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot. And when you told me it was like 150, and that was a few months ago, and I'm like, wow. And I'm sure it's even grown since then.
Oh yes, man. You're talking about the extractions.
Yes.
Oh, you bet. And you know, if you'd have told me several years ago, Shay, like you and I have talked about, you told me several years ago that America, this country that I have fought, killed, bled for, was the number one consumer in child pornography in the entire world, I'd have called you a liar. There's no way. There's no way. And my eyes were open, as we say. I took the red pill, saw the data, and hell, it's even a Google search now. We are the number one consumer of that mess, and it just spills over into other entities. Of course, a lot of it is gang and cartel controlled trafficking over here, and that border was wide open. So luckily, we've got a man in there. The borders are Tom Holman that is going to help us take care of that. But that's something we've been fighting forever. I remember starting Operation Border Star as a state trooper. Just a handful of us drug and criminal interdictors, and it has turned into what I see now as of just a year ago on Operation Lone Star, with all these troops on the border, but still just wide open. The game has just completely changed. So we've got to get that thing tightened up, and we've got to get this country to where we don't have at least the demand for it anymore, and know that there are going to be consequences for that demand if it's called.
Are we seeing changes being made?
Yes, sir. Already. Yeah, Neil, for sure. I mean, before we got our president, before he even swore in, Tom's made multiple trips to the border with Governor Abbott down here. So he's full steam ahead. And of course, we've all heard that, you know, either assist or get out of the way with all these mayors and politicians and those who may have a different way of thinking. He's already been to El Paso. I know he was down in Eagle Pass, I think, a few weeks ago. So he means business, and I mean, we're here to support him.
Yeah, and yet just so the listeners can and viewers can know that your team literally goes in and extracts these children who've been trafficked.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't just talk about it, like you literally go in and get them.
Well, for sure. One thing we pride ourselves on is not being a think tank. We are a do tank. So we have a great intel. We have great intel cell. We've got great intelligence people that are all former prior service and come from that world of military intelligence. And then you have the rest of us that are more of what they call the pop hitters, the ground and pounders that actually go in. And we work with agencies and places like with ARC, who I consider, I think most of us consider the godfather of child rescue is Basil Boz in the Association of the Rescue of Children. He and Tina, his wife, have just been phenomenal mentors, and they go around the nation putting on a phenomenal class on what to look for, how to identify these problem sets, and then what to do afterwards.
The trafficking problem is because we're not talking about it enough, right? That's the big thing. And our president wants to change that for sure, for the child trafficking, how bad it is. What do you think? And I heard it's because there's a lot of powerful people that don't want it to change.
Yes, sir. Yeah. That's exactly right. And for all the rest of it, it's a hard topic anyway. It's a difficult topic. It's something we don't want to talk about. We don't want to think it exists. And therefore, that's why it's been so cancerous, because the conversation, the narrative has been something that we've just shied away from. It's too horrendous to think that would happen. But with the freedoms and the influence pornography alone has in our country now, it has allowed this cancer just to grow. And there is such thing as the dark web. Again, a couple of years ago, dark web, come on, what is that? That is a very true thing. And that is a very evil tool that a lot of people, I hate to even admit the number, are using not only for the sex trafficking of minors, but the murder and the rape and just what is going on in that dark web. Again, I've seen that data and I could not believe my eyes. Wish I hadn't seen it, to be honest with you. You know, taking that red pill again and, you know, biting the apple. There's nothing worse than taking away someone's innocence, as we all know. Because what do we strive to do, right? We strive to get back to that childlike state of just being innocent. And then these predators absolutely take that away. And that's the most evil thing I can even think of. But back to what you were saying. I'm sorry. Yeah, there are powers that be that we know of in certain circles that don't want this to go away, primarily because they're part of it. They're a consumer of it, or they're making money out of it, with it somehow, whether it be cartel money, whether it be movement money, whether it be the circulation of children coming from these other countries, where that money be circulating to all these NGOs and everybody's getting a payout of it. So it's just an evil, disgusting business that we've got to do something about it quick.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, you're right. I mean, we need to get the awareness out, but it's hard for people to wrap their head around somebody doing that to a child. And so for some people, it's just better not to think about it. They can't, it's really difficult for them to handle. I used to, you know, do presentations on it, and, you know, I had to walk carefully because of the, you know, and keep the shock value down, because it is super shocking.
You bet.
It's like, what? I just don't want to hear it anymore. But it's there. And thank God for people like you who compartmentalize and you're able to, put those blinders on and do what you got to do for the sake of those kids.
We're trying the best we can. We need help from the very top, of course. So the demand.
And what do you do, your organization? How's that process go? So people can be part of it. Like how did you start it and that process to where it is today? And how many of you saved lives and it's happened?
That intel source that intel cell can do some very cool deep dives. So where you start out is something as simple as a safe house or a cartel house or some type of compound. The TDA was a good one we did recently up in the DFW area. So you infiltrate that, you get your info, you get your intel on, and then you get it back. And you first thing you do is, of course, you let local law enforcement and all your law enforcement agencies know what's going on in your backyard. And
Right.
then that's when we go in and assist and say, hey, listen, we can help you do this. Here's our intel. We got basically handing everything over that they need to make an operation happen. And then we either lead or assist in that operation. And that's really the best way to get it done. Now, I think we're going to have a lot more presence, bringing in, operators and things like that to get this job done. And like Basil Boss was always saying, we don't pray every day for the ability to do what we need to do to rescue these children. And these,
No.
I say children, some of them in late teens, early 20s, is a child as far as I'm concerned still, especially when it comes to that. We pray that the veil be unlifted so we know where these 500,000 children that are missing are at, that are being, forced into this kind of slavery. And this deportation effort is going to be the big one that is going to lift that veil. So as soon as we start hitting these most violent criminals and these cartel ran and gang ran compounds and places of interest, that veil should be lifted. I'm almost positive.
Wow.
Yeah. And you guys have also been, you're going to be working with the security on the border too, right?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Yeah, I've been down there for several years now, and took over the provost marshal in 36th Infantry Division over that last year. So doing a lot of moving a lot of troops that way, getting them spread out strategically, giving them more of an authority to arrest, detain, and hold. They're still working on the legality of that. Of course, here in Texas, there's always going to be some of that, but a lot just better training for our troops. Get down there, use common sense, and be humane about it, and just always aware, always alert, and then provide that security, and then just a better process for the federal side of the house to get to prevention. It's just prevention. Turn them around. Go head to the other way. And then just to say, hey, listen, we've got to draw the line somewhere. Let us get everything set here first. There's a process in place where you can go to do all this to get in this country legal, just like we would have to do. And then just follow that process, and then everything will be a lot better, much better.
And what organizations, like who have you partnered with that's pretty well known and that's been doing this? Your organization with other people, because we're hearing lots of celebrities that have gotten involved in this, that have helped in this process and stuff like that. Who have you worked with and partnered with to try to do these expeditions and save these children's lives?
Oh, sure. Now ARC is the premier. So that's the Basil Boss Association for the Rescue of Children. That's our premier partner. Craig Sawyer, out there for Veterans for Child Rescue, I believe. Craig Sawman Sawyer. He just put out a brand new documentary called Contraland. Can't wait to see it. Good friend of ours, a good man of faith, completely believes in what we're doing. He's also spearheading this thing as well. Judges Reserve, outstanding. So Sierra 5-5. People are just trying to make a difference because they're also doing like what we at the ministry do. We go out there humanitarian efforts, and during their humanitarian efforts, we make sure that this criminal element doesn't rear its head up in all the chaos, because that's what they love to do. That's where a lot of children get extracted from. For instance, the hurricanes. It happened the same thing in Katrina, happened in Harvey, it happens in every major disaster. So these these bad guys, quote unquote, will get in there during this chaos and start extracting. It's perfect. It's prime picking for them. So one of our missions is to make sure that that doesn't happen under our watch. So we go toward the gunfire, we go toward the chaos, because that's what we thrive in the ministry, is just to get in there, get inside the chaos, and that's how we operate.
Yeah. And being there at the border and working on that, that's going to help as well, because I know that's a huge pathway for trafficked children.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It really is. And we just need more awareness, number one. And then, of course, we just have to be pit bulls about the policy of when we do get these predators and these rapists, that there is no sitting behind bars the rest of your life wasting taxpayer money. There's just not. It has to be a death penalty involved in this. So we're really pushing for that as well. There's a petition going out from ARC, from Boz and Tina, to get these petitions signed. I think Louisiana already did it. I believe that governor down there did that, if I'm not mistaken. And I just hope that spreads like wildfire, because that is something that is incurable. That is something that you just can't fix, especially even if they're incarcerated, right? So you don't want them slipping through the cracks like so many others have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sherry, it's amazing what they're doing. And we just got to I'm glad we're having this opportunity, this discussion to discuss this, so that finally we can kind of end this serious problem.
It is. It is a problem. Definitely a problem. One that like I was telling you, Nick, Neil, I didn't think it even existed, man. I didn't even think it existed to the level that it does, even when I was a state trooper. Because yes, we'd go in. I was part of a high incident response team. We'd go in. We'd hit these homes, these compounds that we knew there was some little bit of trafficking going on. But I guess I was naive, thinking, well, that's just in the surrounding counties here, and it's not that many. But it has turned into a monster, and we've got to cut the head off the snake. And it's a two-pronged snake, right? You've got to get rid of the demand first. You've got to get rid of the demand, because as long as the demand is just like the drug problem, as long as the demand is here, we all know that the supply is going to follow the demand, and it will get here no matter what. You're going to be innovative to get your supply to the demand. And this is the one thing that we have got to eradicate out of this nation.
Yeah. Well, you do all that you do, but you come from a faith. You're a man of faith. And on your bio, you said, above all, you love the Lord and praise him every single day for allowing you to do his work against tyranny and evil. So, yeah.
The good Lord obviously has a great sense of humor. Thank God, because he does. He has kept me alive in some of the craziest situations you could ever imagine. And I've got to pay homage and serve him every day. It's like we're going toward the hurricane efforts, and just the people that he has put in, like yourself and Neil, like put in our paths. We had Donica, of course, Donica Hudson and Vanderstill. We had the James Clinic, Dr. Molly James, and them. The way we just all met and come together over there in North Carolina. Yeah, we knew Ann and Donica from other missions, but we just met all these great people over there doing straight humanitarian efforts out of their own pocket, out of their own faith, out of their own will, to go help a group of people that were not getting any assistance from anybody. They really weren't. You saw that, Sherry. They weren't getting near enough, if anything. So just a shout out to Dr. James in that James Clinic. When I got there to the airfield in Spruce Pine, the Avery Airfield, she had a MASH set up, and they were just rocking and rolling on, getting IVs to the people that were taking care of everybody else. And those people coming out of the mountains and the hollers were getting the insulin they needed and things like that, and some standard care. And it was a beautiful thing to see. And it kind of restored my faith, because in my line of work, you get pretty skeptical, you get pessimistic a lot. So, but to see that, how everybody came together in that area, that was amazing. That was outstanding stuff right
there. Yeah. What goes through your head when you see these children that you've rescued? I mean, that's got to be an extremely emotional, wow, time.
It is a high. It is a high, and then your heart breaks just like that. So we do not get comfortable patting ourselves on the back, because after you see, this is something that is irreparable. As harsh as that is, you can do whatever you need to do, from psychosis to hypnotism to whatever to try and get that former life out of the soul of these children. It never leaves. It never leaves. We are talking about broken individuals that are broken for life. And again, your innocence stripped. There's no way to ever be naive again. Just stripped from these kids. And so the best thing that we can do, and what we're working towards, and what we really need help with, is to build these compounds and these safe havens for these children. So people think, well, we get them, we'll take them back, we'll turn them over to the CPS, we'll take them back to a Boys and Girls Ranch, and then they're released. Well, guess where they're released right back into? There's no transformation. So we're talking about years. These people, these children and these individuals need to stay there for years and grow and heal as much as they can before they're even because they only know one thing now at that point. One thing: how to show kindness, how to show hate, any emotion. There's only one way they know how to show it, and it is just toxic.
Oh, totally.
And they're right, Neil. They're right back into where they started, man. 99%
Yeah.
of the time.
When you
If
think
don't
about
get that-
watching Sound of Freedom, probably really spoke to it if you that film and your thoughts, with what, Tim Ballard's group's been able to do and stuff. That is the quintessential situation that's happening. This is happening. It's happening so much internationally. And you're focused more in the States for yours, or do you go outside the United States too?
we do leave the mothership from time to time, but primarily in the States. Yes, sir.
So you're more focused in the States,
Yeah, yes, sir.
and are you seeing a lot of them that have been trafficked for years before you rescue them?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Years. Even in my neck of the woods where I was a trooper, years for some of these people that I used to see in school that just vanished. And then I saw them, 10, 15 years later on a bus somewhere, and they've been doing this thing all over the part of the state for 10 years. It's all they know. And it's slavery. It is a form of slavery, is what it is.
Okay. All right, we'll go back to Sherry. Any other last questions for Major? I'm just impressed. His story. He needs to have his own documentary. He needs to have his own story be told. My goodness. But go ahead, Sherry.
Yeah. What you guys are doing is phenomenal. You take donations, right?
Ma'am?
Is there anywhere people can donate to help support?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have a website and a donation page, and people have been phenomenal, outstanding. We are so appreciative, and I'll give that website in a minute. But I want to say thank you forever, because we don't ask. We don't ask for anything. We asked for toys and things like that for North Carolina. We had a really cool. Donica was a great instrumental part of that. A toy drive up there in Banner Elk and other places over there, and Starlight. A lot of NGOs and nonprofit organizations just really helped us out with all that. But the amount of support we have gotten, just with Dr. Pete Chambers doing his podcast, and he does the Land of the Free every Friday. That'd be a good one to catch. It's just the support we can get, because we blew somebody's mind the other day. There was a donor. There's a financial backer. It's like, hey, listen, I've given the NGOs or nonprofits before, and I go visiting. They live in these big houses and everything. Well, you can come see us anytime, because the treasurer, the founder, and myself, we live in campers, and we have a little old compound out in the middle of Central Texas. We do operations out of that, and we can come and go as we like, because that's where we live. That's how we do. We live what we say. We live in the dirt. We consider ourselves shepherds, and to be shepherds, to protect the sheep, you've got to be out there with the sheep. We refuse. We refuse to buy anything that's not mobile that we keep us from our mission. We ask every morning, hey, Lord, where do you want us to go? Where do we need to go? Who needs the help today? And that's where we go. And that's where we go. So we appreciate anything anybody could ever do, and learn about us. Our website is the Remnant Ministry Text TX, remnantministrytext.org, and remnantministrytx.org. I think about that sometimes, but we'd appreciate anything. Sometimes even cookies. Well, if you want to send some food, we'll eat some food to you, whatever you got. So it's a great way to help out.
Love it.
Great.
All right. We
Great.
appreciate it. Sherry, great information. Thank you again, Major, for all
Thank
the
you.
work. Thank you for your service in the military. Thank you service as a police officer, and thank you service for what you're doing now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it, man. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
That was a special simulcast of Neil Haley